Coming up this week on Talk with Audrey, Dr. Raj Chovatiya, Associate Professor at the Rosalind Franklin University Chicago Medical School and founder and director of the Center for Medical Dermatology and Immunology Research, joins me, and we're going to talk about diagnosing seborrheic dermatitis and the stigma attached with it, as well as a new treatment option. Technology and consumer expert Cassie Slane is going to tell us how to identify the best customer reward programs and where you might already be spending on the essentials, and how to score one-of-a-kind deals and experiences with nationally loved brands. Renowned storm chaser Josh Morgerman has braved dozens of hurricanes, typhoons, and cyclones around the world in the interest of science, and he joins me from Las Vegas at the annual International Builder Show with information about the benefits of climate-resilient homes. It's all coming up this week on Talk with Audrey. Insightful, intelligent, and inspiring conversations and information to help you improve the quality of your life. It's all about the business of living. I'll be right back. You're watching Talk with Audrey. Welcome back. Seborrheic dermatitis is a common skin disease affecting as many as 10 million Americans, but it can take years to see a healthcare provider and get a diagnosis. My guest today is Dr. Raj Chovatiya, Associate Professor at the Rosalind Franklin University Chicago Medical School and founder and director of the Center for Medical Dermatology and Immunology Research. And we're going to talk today about diagnosing seborrheic dermatitis and the stigma attached with it, and how patients can seek a new treatment. Welcome.
Thanks so much for having me.
So let's dive in about the specifics of seborrheic dermatitis and why there's a stigma attached to it.
It's a great place to start. So seborrheic dermatitis, or sebderm, which is the easier way to say the condition, is a chronic and recurrent inflammatory skin disease. So that inflammation manifests in several characteristic ways: red, flaky, scaly patches, oftentimes with this what we describe as yellow, greasy scale appearance, as well as persistent itch. And seborrheic dermatitis most often occurs on highly visible cosmetic sensitive areas, often that have concurrent hair growth as well. So the scalp, eyebrows, eyelids, cheeks, beard area, neck are all very common, as well as the chest and back too. And it's this high visibility that really leads to this associated social stigma of the condition, both with negative self-image and low self-esteem experienced by individuals who are going through chronic seborrheic dermatitis. And you cited some very important statistics. Despite actually being quite common, about 10 million people is believed at least have this condition in the US, many folks don't recognize these symptoms, and therefore it can actually take years to get an official diagnosis from a healthcare provider. And that's why I'm excited to chat with you today and partner with Arcutis to raise awareness about seborrheic dermatitis and a new treatment option in the case of Zoryve foam.
Well, I'm curious, why does it take some people so long to get an accurate diagnosis?
Yeah, so seborrheic dermatitis is a clinically diagnosed condition. So, it depends on the signs and symptoms itself. And so a lot of folks are just not super familiar with it. Therefore, they don't recognize the symptoms. And it can actually take years to seek out a healthcare provider to even get that diagnosis in the first place. So it's a multi-layered problem, but one that we're hoping to address with increased awareness around the disease itself. This is a chronic recurrent condition, meaning that it's something that can go on for a long time and wax and wane. And that really sort of ties into some of the challenges associated with conventional treatment. When you think about some of those flares and long-term course of disease, oftentimes for patients, they end up having to have multiple different products they're using on different parts of their body for different lengths of time with different instructions. And that whole situation can make things quite complicated when thinking about the overall disease course and treatment itself. The hair-bearing areas are an additionally big challenge too, when you think about creams, gels, and ointments generally being difficult in this area. Bottom line, when you combine those signs and symptoms of the disease, its long-term course, and previous treatment options, many patients just haven't been particularly satisfied.
And what are the treatment options?
Yeah, so I think that this is the most exciting part of our talk today. For the first time in about 2 decades, we have a first-in-class prescription topical foam that's been approved by the FDA specifically for the treatment of this condition, seborrheic dermatitis. So that's what Zoryve, or roflumilast topical foam 0.3% is. Approved for adults and children 9 years of age and older. It's a once daily steroid-free foam that actually reduces inflammation by targeting specific sources that are related to seborrheic dermatitis itself. It can be used anywhere on the body. It's safe for all skin and hair types. And it's a water-based formula, so it's fragrance-free without common irritants as well. And in clinical studies, the most common side effects that were noted were common cold, nausea, and headache. The data showed that Zoryve foam effectively treats the condition, including the signs and symptoms we talked about, like redness, flaking, and itching. And it was extensively studied in almost about 700 patients with seborrheic dermatitis, including several hundred who used Zoryve foam itself and another few hundred that used the vehicle, which is the fancy way of saying the foam without the active medication. The big takeaway is that after 8 weeks of once daily treatment, about 77% of people treated with Zoryve foam had clear or almost clear skin, compared to maybe just around half who used the vehicle itself.
Can we talk about the stigma that's associated with this as well? Is this something that can be transmitted, say, through touch?
Yeah, it's a really good point, and one that patients ask frequently. One big misconception with this condition is that it's contagious just based on the way the signs and symptoms might appear, but that's not true at all. We know that inflammation in the skin is really at the source of this condition, and that's what's driving a lot of these highly visible signs and symptoms we think about, and some of those areas that really everybody can see in terms of the head and neck region.
All right, so it's not contagious and you can't get it by touching someone with it. But there are treatment options out there, so be sure to check with your doctor or your healthcare provider. Where can we go, Dr. Chovatiya, for more information?
Yeah, so I love how you said, the first thing that I mentioned is make sure you talk with your healthcare provider about your signs and symptoms and see if Zoryve foam is right for you. And then there's a website, zoryve.com, that's ZORYVE.com, where there's information about Zoryve foam itself in terms of the prescribing information, important safety information, but also seborrheic dermatitis itself too.
Thank you so very much for your insight and for joining me today. Really appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me.
My pleasure. There's more to come on Talk with Audrey after the break. Hi there, I'm Audrey Adams. Do you want to live a better, healthier, and more financially secure life? If so, then Talk with Audrey is for you. I talk to experts from a variety of fields. We'll talk about your financial life. We also delve into health and aging, and of course, business. You can get the benefit of all these interviews and so much more. Just watch Talk with Audrey right here. And if you need more information, either about me or the show, visit my website, talkwithaudrey.com. Tell your friends, your neighbors, your coworkers, everyone you know to join you in this pursuit of a better life. Watch Talk with Audrey. Welcome back. Balancing economic growth with sustainable investments with social impact in various fields such as tourism, digital, technology, infrastructure, energy, and food production is a natural fit for Panama. Joining me to talk about Panama and the many opportunities for the American public and U.S. businesses to visit, invest, and work, and of course even retire there, Ambassador Carmen Gisela and Rafael Sabonge, Minister of Public Works for the Republic of Panama. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us, Audrey.
Really appreciate you joining me. Well, this is an exciting opportunity for us to learn more about Panama. I have quite a few friends who've already happily retired there. Let me start with you, Madam Ambassador. What should Americans know about Panama?
Well, thank you, Audrey, first of all, for having us in your program and for letting all of your audience know that Panama is truly the place to be to recover better faster. And as you have mentioned, we offer an array of opportunities in different fields, from the logistics service center that we operate, comprised from the Panama Canal, the ports, the airport, the railroad. but also the digital hub that we operate from Panama with the 8 fiber optic cables that connect virtually from everywhere. And food production, which is a new hub that we are promoting now with a new law for agro-parks to do smart agriculture in Panama. And then, of course, there are opportunities in energy and in tourism, everything geared towards sustainable investments.
And Panama is really close. What I hear a lot about, of course, is the opportunity to be close to both the United States and South America. And from what I understand, travel from there is really easy. Cost of living, I hear, is good. Minister Sabonge, how important is tourism to Panama?
It's very important, Audrey. Panama is all about sustainability, all about sustainable investments, all about environmental protection. Our country, 30% of the land is protected. Now 30% of the seas are also protected. And this is our main asset. We have over 3,000 kilometers of beaches, both in the Pacific and in the Caribbean Sea. And you can get from one sea to the other by just an hour drive. So I think this is the only part of the world where you can do that. And then visit these paradise beaches that we have, for instance, in San Blas, and also with rich culture. Also in Bocas del Toro in the Caribbean, which is a thriving place with a lot to do, restaurants, obviously nightlife. So our country is inviting the U.S. Citizens, people of the U.S., our friends, to come and visit us. Panama is also a place for investors, for good investors, for qualified investors. Actually, we have a law that gives a permanent resident visa to investors that come to our country to maybe buy real estate or invest in bonds or stocks for only $300,000. This is another good reason for people to come to our country and retire.
Well, I'm guessing that Panama has also welcomed quite a number of digital nomads in the last year or so.
Well, actually, we just enacted the law for digital nomads. And so we're putting the call out there that if you're interested in working from a hammock at the beach or in the mountains, Panama has excellent connectivity throughout the country. So you're welcome to come. And if you have a minimum income of $3,000 or $4,000, if you want to come with your family from any source outside of Panama, you're welcome to come, and you can stay up to 18 months in our country and enjoy all the benefits that Panama has to offer.
Well, that's a pretty amazing opportunity, Madam Ambassador. I think you're going to get a huge influx of people going to Panama. You spoke earlier about Panama's commitment to sustainability. How is Panama managing the issue of environmental sustainability? Other countries are finding that really challenging.
Well, I can tell you Panama is one of the only 3 countries in the world that is net zero carbon. And our canal, which is run obviously by water, and that is one of our main assets, has saved over 650 million tons of CO2 since it was opened. So our country is very focused on environmental sustainability, and we are doing this also in our investments in infrastructure. And we are promoting here also a law for public-private partnerships, projects that are being structured by multilaterals, some of them here in the U.S., and that are focused also in green projects, in projects that are sustainable in the long term.
Ambassador Carmen, I understand that Panama is developing a digital hub and identified it as an area that's crucial to growth.
Well, of course, you know that way before the pandemic, but certainly with the pandemic, everything is a click away. So managing information, it's now the name of the game. And Panama is uniquely positioned to offer itself as a digital hub for companies that are intensive in the use of technology, like BPOs, data warehouses, Internet of Things, blockchain, because we're virtually free of natural disasters, so we don't get earthquakes or hurricanes. And data that is deposited in Panama by law is protected. It cannot be intervened by the government for any reason. So for all those reasons and the fact that we have the 8 fiber optic cables that now include the Curie cable from Google that physically go through Panama, that gives us 100% of connectivity from voice traffic to email that go through Panama for the region. So being in Panama makes sense for companies that are intensive in the use of technology.
Well, during this visit to the U.S. to promote Panama, what else do you hope to accomplish during this trip, Minister Sabonge?
Well, obviously, Audrey, strengthen our relations with the U.S., which is our main ally and strategic partner. Our main commercial partner is the U.S. We have had a relationship for over 100 years. We have the dollar as our currency. So right here, we are inviting all the American people to come to Panama, visit us, see what we have to offer, all these opportunities that Ambassador Carmen was telling you about are there. And we just a flight away. We have one of the best connected airports in the region. We have over 90 cities that have direct flights to Panama. A lot of cities in the U.S. So it's really easy to get there. And we encourage your viewers to come visit us and see what we have to offer.
All right. Well, it sounds like it is. It's tempting. I've got to tell you, I could certainly be a digital nomad. Where can we go for some more information about opportunities in Panama?
Well, you can visit our site is www.propanama.gov.pa. And there you will find all information that you need about Panama, and you can switch the language to English, so all the information is in English, and you can download videos, interviews, and any promotional material that you need.
You can also visit our website, visitpanama.com, for tourism, and you will see there all we have to offer, our marvelous beaches, the mountains, the countryside.
Ambassador Carmen and Minister Sabonge, thank you both for joining me on the show.
Thank you for having us, Audrey.
And there's more to come on Talk with Audrey. I'll be right back after this. You're watching Talk with Audrey, insightful, intelligent, and inspiring conversations and information to help you improve the quality of your life. It's all about the business of living. According to the National Centers for Environmental Information, 8 out of 10 of the years with the highest number of natural disasters has occurred in the last decade. My guest today is renowned storm chaser Josh Morgerman. He's braved dozens of hurricanes, typhoons, and cyclones around the world in the interest of science, and he joins me live from Las Vegas at the annual International Builder Show. We're going to talk today about the benefits of climate-resilient homes. Welcome, Josh.
Thanks, Audrey.
Oh, thank you for joining me. Yeah, so I find this really interesting. You hold the world record for being inside the eye of 67 hurricanes and typhoons. And you yourself have built a hurricane-resistant dwelling in Bay St. Louis, Mississippi, which was devastated during Hurricane Katrina. Why is it important that people consider building climate-resilient homes?
Oh, it's everything now. It is just the number one consideration, especially in North America. I always say North America is a very tough room for homes. We get crazy, violent weather and very sort of extreme conditions in North America between moisture, wind, fire, you name it, termites, pests. It's a very tough scene. And so building resilient homes is the way to make sure that they're going to last over time.
And when you say resilient home, what does that mean?
So for me, it means making sure to use materials that can withstand all of those kinds of abuses that I just talked about from the environment. So for me, for example, with my house, using James Hardie siding, fiber cement siding, which withstands all of those kinds of environmental factors. And that's actually who I'm here with at the IBS, is talking about James Hardie, and it's what I used for my house. This stuff is fiber cement. It looks like wood, so the historical district of my town approved it for use in the historical district, but it is not wood, and unlike wood, it does not burn, it does not rot, and it is highly resistant to the sort of impact of flying debris in hurricanes.
And that would be really important. How do people get started when it comes to thinking about building a climate resilient home?
So different parts of the United States have different sort of risk factors. So where I am in coastal Mississippi, for us, there's a few things. This is an especially tough scene for homes because we've got the extreme moisture of that swampy Mississippi summer. We've got obviously the hurricanes, so we have periods of extremely high winds, and then of course we have crazy termites and pests. So all of those things are concerns. But for example, if you're on the West Coast or in the Rocky Mountain states, one of your biggest concerns might be fire. So then there's that concern as well. Okay, what are the materials that I could use that are not going to be flammable, that are not just going to like go up in smoke really fast? Now, one of the cool things about James Hardie is that they do formulate for different climates. So for example, they have a formulation for southern climates that are more moist and warm and that have high winds. And then they have a different formulation for northern climates where they have cold and ice. And so I'm glad you asked about this because the localization, every area has different kinds of extremes.
What other building trends are you seeing at the International Builder Show?
Well, it is, I think more and more it is all about that now. I think that folks want homes that are beautiful and aesthetic, but they want to know that they're going to last. And this is what I'm really excited about is James Hardie is now, they're the newest corporate sponsor for Habitat for Humanity International's Habitat Strong program. So Habitat for Humanity, as we all know, they create affordable homes. Their Habitat Strong program is about creating affordable homes that are also resilient, climate resilient. And so James Hardie is the perfect partner with this for this program because it's about making sure that the homes are going to last. And when you think about it, a climate resilient home is actually more affordable because if you build your home to last, that means less money in the future for upkeep and repairs as your home experiences these just incredible abuses from climate, from the environment around it.
So you said that it's fire resistant and water resistant and probably wind resistant to a certain extent. What about the roof?
Well, glad you asked about the roof. It is all about the roof when you're building in hurricane zones because basically I've always said, if you're in a structure during a hurricane, if the roof stays on, you're gonna be okay. If the roof comes off, it's game over. So like when I was building my house, I put like a lot of money. I just got the best roof money could buy. I built on a budget, so there were certain areas where I skimped a little, maybe like the bathroom tiles and stuff like that. But man, that roof, I put serious money into it. I have a roof that's rated for 200 mile-an-hour winds. I have what's called a standing seam roof, which is made of metal. It's fastened in a certain way where it could just withstand incredibly high winds. And in coastal Mississippi, that is the preferred roof because the wind speeds can get crazy there.
So Josh, do you think that most builders are moving towards more climate resilient homes?
I think slowly. What I found is that the United States, it's a big country. We got a lot of states and a lot of counties and a lot of cities and municipal codes, and it varies. One thing that I've noticed through my years of chasing hurricanes is that in different cities, they might get a little lax about it, and then they have a big disaster. For example, Category 5 Hurricane Andrew in the Miami metro area in 1992, or Hurricane Michael, another Category 5, which hit the Florida Panhandle a few years ago. Once that big disaster happens, then when they build back, then they get very serious about the codes. For Mississippi, that wake-up call was Hurricane Katrina. Hurricane Katrina just devastated the entire Mississippi coast, and what's coming back now is much better building, and folks, all builders, especially my builder, was just very aware of those codes, and the cities are pretty strict now about enforcing them. So I think it's on everybody's mind. Unfortunately, it often takes that big disaster to make folks take it seriously, because a lot of times, a big destructive hurricane, it's hard to imagine it in your mind's eye. You can't imagine it because it's so far out of your experience, and until it happens, it's not real, and then it becomes real.
Yeah, it absolutely does. Unfortunately, I do believe that the key to building more climate resilient homes and is taking all of those factors into account. Well, where can we go, Josh, for some more information about the partnership between James Hardie and Habitat for Humanity, and of course about those climate-resistant materials?
JamesHardie.com. It's a great website, and it has everything you need, not just about climate resilience, but also making your home beautiful, whether you want it to be totally traditional or ultra-modern. They have the materials to get the exact look you want.
All right, so guys, if you're looking to build a new home, think about the climate that you're in, and of course some of the weather risk that you might encounter as a result of the location you've chosen. Josh Morgerman, thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks, Audrey. Appreciate it.
And that's it for this week's show. I'm Audrey Adams. Join me here next week for more insightful, intelligent, and inspiring conversations and information on Talk with Audrey. It's all about the business of living. I'll see you next week.